Hey there, Zoe here. My channel is Vegan Mental Iron, and it's all about investing in mental iron, which is really just an anagram of environmentalist. So I really do think that if we take good care of ourselves and our bodies and the planet, this really will increase our mental health. And I do think there's a lot of things in the holistic sphere of just self-care and self-love that need to be talked about more. So today I'm going to be talking about one of those things, and that is birth control. So a lot of women have to take birth control, and there's so many different kinds of birth control, and we're really lucky to live, at least I'm very lucky to live in a first world country and to have healthcare and to have access to so many different kinds of birth control. So I don't want to say that any one kind is better than another. I want to preface this by saying I know that everyone has different needs, and there's people who, have to take hormones. So I'm not saying anything against that. I just want to talk about how, at least in my personal experience, what I came up with as a solution. And I would like to know if you're a woman out there who's curious about this stuff, anyone of any gender who's just feeling like this is a revelation learning all this stuff. And yeah, share with me in the comments your whole experience that you're going through, or if you're curious about something specific, I can try to address it. I'm not really an expert on this stuff. I'm still very much in the learning phases, but I do know way more than I did like literally 5 months ago. So yeah, I hope this is helpful if you're kind of curious about it. Just a little notice, if you're squeamish about vaginas or sex or whatever, I'm going to be talking about some stuff that is like taboo or like not graphic, but just this is the information, and it's like science, it's a human body, so we shouldn't be grossed out. My life story around birth control, we'll just start off real quick. So when I was 16, I started to, be a little more active. At that age where you're going through puberty and you're starting to date a little and whatever, I went to my gynecologist. I was put on the pill at 16, and I started out, I think the one I started with was called Loestrin, or I started with the normal hormone one at a regular level, and I was having some side effects like breast tenderness, and I was feeling really moody. After a little while of a trial period, they gave me a new one. If you usually see LO in the front of the name, it usually means it has a lower amount of synthetic hormones in it. I switched different brands of pills for a while, and the last one I used, I still have a pack left of it, and this is called Low Seasonique. So as you can see here, there are like literally 3 months of pills until you get your period. When I started taking this, my period started being really irregular, and I'd like get very, very small amount of bleeding, and you get breakthrough bleeding, and you're just like not really sure like what's a period, what's breakthrough bleeding, like what's actually happening when it comes to ovulation and everything inside your body. So I was like very confused, and then I switched to the Mirena, and I'll talk about how that went. They tell you like you must switch between different methods so you don't do one for too long. So like maybe after 5 years on the pill, it's time to switch to a different method. Probably like 2007 to 2017, I was on the pill. 2017, I was like, okay, I've really been on this one method for too long. It's time to switch to another one so I don't like mess up my fertility, because they do tell you that birth control overall does actually protect your fertility long term, and I always like thought that sounded like way too good to be true. How is this unnatural thing going to preserve my fertility? But I just like, all right, well, my doctor said so, so I guess it's true. But no, it actually doesn't, unfortunately. But I thought it did, and I decided to get the Mirena because one of my friends had one and she loved it. And at this point I was in a long-term relationship, and me and my partner are sexually active and each other's only partner, so it's just, you don't have to really worry about, STDs, STIs, but none of these methods with birth control protect against those. So you always have to be really careful and make sure you're with someone who you trust. The idea of having a permanent method that I didn't have to think about every day, or a semi-permanent method I didn't have to think about every day, and I was just embedded in there, I don't have to do anything, that was really attractive to me. I was like, all right, let's do this. I don't have really any other options, so I was like, I better get something that will function no matter what. If I don't have healthcare, I'll have protection. So like I was trying to think long term as a young woman. I have it to show you actually, it's crazy. So I saved it. It's an intrauterine device, so it's a small T-shaped silicone device. So they give you contractions within your cervix. Obviously contractions are what happen when you get pregnant and you have a baby, but they can induce them, so they induce them, which apparently hurts more than real contractions. I was dying, it was so painful. And then they insert it like this. And then they get it up in there. It's like in a little tube, and then it opens that, and it just hangs out in your uterus. Yeah, and it basically tricks your body into thinking that you're already pregnant, so it creates a thick plug of cervical mucus, which sounds really gross, and it kind of is, I guess. You're still kind of ovulating and everything. It depends. For some women, I guess it may stop your ovulation completely, but it basically just makes it really hard for your body to know what's going on. And you have all these extra hormones, and a lot of women have side effects. Like I said, I was on birth control for like 10 years, so it's really hard for me to know like what was a side effect and what wasn't. Yeah, I had it put in, and it was in there for a year pretty much. I put it in August of 2017, and I had it removed this September of 2018. So only like 4 months ago. Basically, it hurt like hell. Those contractions hurt so much, and I remember like I was lying on the table like a chihuahua, like shaking afterwards for like 10 minutes. I was in so much pain. A lot of women have varying experiences on this. Some women it hurts more, some women it hurts less. Some people are recovered like the next day and like can go running, and other women are like dying for like a month. For me, I was like dying for like a month. Sitting in certain positions, I would be in pain. My body just was reacting to it weird, and like who knows why? That's just what happened to me. And I had such bad mood swings and anxiety, and I couldn't sleep, and I was in pain, and I had terrible cramps forever, and just so many other things. I've talked about this a little bit in another video. I'll link that video. And in this video, I'm just really gonna focus a little bit more about my overall experience with everything, and then like what I'm doing now and how things have changed for me. I lost my period when I was on the Mirena, and it was really uncomfortable. The whole experience was uncomfortable. I had like a whole video of like the day that I had it removed. It didn't hurt as much having it removed as having it put in. So when I decided to get it removed, I had started to learn about Fertility Awareness method, or FAM. This is a book called Taking Charge of Your Fertility by Toni Weschler. She's freaking awesome, badass woman. There's diagrams, charts, and it teaches you all the stuff that you really need to know about this and how to chart your cycle. So we all have different cycles, and so the rhythm method, a lot of people when they hear about FAM, they think about the rhythm method and they're like, uh-oh, that's how my grandma got pregnant with my mom. The rhythm method just assumes that all women have the same length cycle. The standard cycle for a woman, if you were to like average it, would be a 28-day cycle with ovulation at day 14. So a lot of people just assume that that's what the rhythm is. It just assumes that this is what it is for everybody, and that's not the case, of course. But how do you find out what your cycle really is? For that, you need to track. You need to track your fertility signs. So there's 3 different signs. There's cervical fluid, cervical position, and basal body temperature. And then you can add other things in as well, like vaginal sensation, which has to do with your cervical fluid and how it's affecting the sensation in your vagina. I learned that fertility awareness method can be used for birth control, but it's also just useful to know about your body in general. And I was very curious to know how my body would adjust if I got off of hormonal birth control. Like, what could I learn about my body and my health and through my cycle, because our hormones are such a essential part of our overall health. So I definitely know that I would be into all of this, learning all of this as just another tier of my health journey, whether or not I was in a committed relationship or sexually active or whatever. This is not just a means to have sex without a condom. You can use this for so many things, and you should know about it as a woman. If you're curious, just learn about it. I've cried while reading this book because I was so grateful to learn all this stuff and like sad that I didn't know it. Very mixed emotions. And the 3 signs that you want to track, the basal body temperature is your temperature as taken with a basal body temperature thermometer, taken under your tongue around the same time every day if you can, after a good like 4 solid hours at least of sleep, because there's certain things that can affect your basal body temperature, and you want to do it the second you wake up. In order to measure this, I got something which is a really great way to track your cycle. This is what I use for birth control now and just to gauge my health in general. This is a daisy. It's really beautiful, sexy little device. So this cap comes off and you put it under your tongue. Press that button and it will take your temperature. And when it's done, one of these little lights here will light up and it will tell you red or yellow or green. Green means that you're good to go and you're not fertile. Red means you are fertile, so you're not good to go. You can't have unprotected sex or you're risking unwanted pregnancy. And yellow means it's still learning your cycle, or just be cautious, and I always err on the side of caution. If it's yellow, that means red to me. So it's really cool and you can sync it to your phone. I just have this extra extender cable. Yeah, you just plug it into your phone. I will show you a little bit of the app on here as well, and as I'm explaining to you how it works, a little bit of things about your cycle and everything, I will have some screen sharing right here. So you want to track your cervical fluid. And another app that I use, I'll show you as well, is called Condoms. You can track a bunch of other things that you need to know. So your cervical position, so the height, openness, and firmness of your cervix, and your vaginal sensation, which is dry, sticky, wet, moist, wet, lubricative. So like if you ever feel like something coming out of you, not to be like too graphic, but that's something you want to make note of. It's not like you're gross and weird down there and this is discharge. Discharge is a stupid word and it makes people feel like they're disgusting little batteries leaking discharge all over the place or something. It's a part of your body and it's a natural part of your cycle and it's beautiful and it's not something you should ever be ashamed of. And you can input your menstruation, and you can even put in extra custom data. So if you want to like say, okay, I have like sore nips today, you can write that down. And then you also can just put little notes as well. The different ways to tell your cervical fluid are, there's either none, sticky, creamy, egg white, or watery, and throughout your cycle they change. So egg white is like the most fertile kind. And basically I was talking before about the cervical mucus plug that happens when you're pregnant. Cervical mucus or cervical fluid is basically akin to seminal fluids. So when a man ejaculates, I'm trying to be as clinical as possible here, you're going to have fluid that is carrying the sperm in it, and that's called seminal fluid. For females, we have cervical fluid. Cervical fluid is what helps the sperm and the seminal fluid pass through and propel itself into the right spots to get women pregnant. So if you don't have cervical fluid, or if you have a cervical plug that is stopping any of the cervical fluid from moving and bringing the sperm in to the fallopian tubes, you can't get pregnant. So if you can note in your cycle that, you know, if you have egg white, that's the most fertile kind of cervical fluid. If you have creamy, it's a little bit less. If you have sticky, it's a little bit less. If you have none, it's pretty likely that if you also have the right temperature for that time in your cycle, that you probably aren't fertile. And so all these signs taken together can give you a really good picture of where you are in your cycle and what your fertility is. So your basal body temperature will change throughout the month and it will spike right after you ovulate. So it's a sign that ovulation has already occurred. So this is really cool, and you can, over months in time, track everything on here. And the position of your cervix will also change depending on where you are in your cycle. So if you are menstruating, it will be firm, low, closed, and not wet. And then if you're around your ovulation, the acronym is SHOW. So it will be soft, high, open, and wet. And you'll be able to tell these things just by feeling inside yourself and checking. And you want to at least track like one or two other signs other than your basal body temperature, so you get a full picture, because you want as many data points as possible to be as precise as possible. Now I'm just going to show you how the Daisy app works. I can see that I've tracked 3 full cycles. So I had my Mirena removed in September, and I've been tracking my cycles since then. And I've had 132 measurements. I missed 9 of them. So there are reasons you wouldn't want to track or take your temperature on certain days. So if you drink, or if you don't get enough sleep. So if you're not getting like your full like 3-4 hours right before taking your temperature, so you get up in the middle of the night to pee like 3 times, and like you get only 2 hours in a row, and then 2 more hours in a row, then you're not gonna have the right data, so you might wanna just skip that day so you don't muddle up your data points. So I can see I have my ovulation is only fluctuating about a day, and I'm ovulating on average around day 13 in my cycle every month so far. So very close to the 14-day that is supposed to be the standard, but it's not the same. It's different for everyone. So, and my average cycle length is 29 days, and it has varied a little bit. It's been either 28 or 29. So it's good to know, like, as my body is adjusting to not having the hormones in it anymore, how it's changing. And yeah, I'm actually really heartened. It's pretty regular for someone who's been on birth control for 10 years. You can see also the average length of your luteal phase, and your luteal phase is just the period of time between when you ovulate and when you get your period. So it's really, this is important just to know for general health of your body and of your hormones, because if you have a really short luteal phase, that can be bad. If you want to conceive one day, or if you don't and you just want like healthy hormones, it's something to look out for. So I'm lucky, mine is doing really well. It's 15 days on average, and like 14-15 days is around where you want to be. Yeah, and then you can also see like your average high and low temperatures. So for some women, their temperature gets up to 99 degrees and when it spikes around ovulation, and for some women they have like a lower basal body temperature in general. For me, my basal body temperature is a bit lower on average. So my average low temperature would be 97.52, and my average high temperature would be 98.08. So when I spike, I actually have a lower temperature than most women do when they spike, but you can still see the difference overall if you look at all the data points. And that's what's really cool about the Daisy, because it calculates everything for you in that way. And they just actually updated the app today, so it's pretty cool. I think this can be about 99.3% accurate when it comes to using this data for birth control. So if you can do it perfectly, like, you're going to be really well rewarded, but the device will actually err on the side of caution for you. So if you are missing stuff, it will give you more fertile days and more yellow days and more red days, and just, you know, be cautious so that you don't make any mistakes. You're gonna wanna use a backup method if you're in a area of your cycle where you are fertile. And honestly, I'm a big advocate of using it when you're not, if you want to, just for that peace of mind. If you're not fertile and you're new to all this and you just wanna be super duper careful, I would always say be careful. And these are really great. I did not know that most condoms are not vegan, and I am vegan, and I don't want freaking animal protein and milk on a condom. That's so disgusting. And we have so many blood vessels down there. I don't want any chemicals and weird stuff in me. Gross. And also, like, a lot of women find it increases their risk of a UTI and things like that. These are great condoms. They are L brand. So what's really cool about this company, for every condom that you buy, they'll donate one to people in a country that do not have access to birth control. So I just think that's so beautiful, because yeah, women everywhere are not as lucky as I am, or we are, who live in places like America. It could literally change the entire course of someone's life having a child when they don't want to, and this is an awesome way to prevent that. Also, what's great is they're glycerin and paraben free, triple tested for safety. These are really high quality, and yeah, they're fully vegan and awesome, and they are cruelty free as well, of course. They have a bunch of different kinds. The one that I'd recommend is the ribbed and lubricated one, but they have a multi-pack you can buy as well. Even the package design is made 100% of recycled materials and vegetable-based ink. So it's a really great company. I highly recommend it. I'm super grateful that I have discovered all of this, and I wish I'd known about it sooner. I'm glad that I heard about it from some women on the internet, so maybe someone will see this and it will help them. My experience with hormonal birth control was very painful and drawn out over 10 years of my life, and I would really have preferred to not have gone through all of that. Yeah, please do not think that this is some hooey stuff. Like, this is real. This is a real way for women to be empowered. And like, things are so bad right now with the healthcare system, and this enables you a way to be self-sufficient and not have to worry. Yes, we should all be activists, you know, make sure that Planned Parenthood has fucking funding, and things that are happening with women's reproductive rights are really messed up. So I think it's just really important to know as much as we can about reproduction and about birth control and all the methods that are out there, because, you know, some people will not ever have health care. Some people don't have access to Planned Parenthood. And if those women, you know, this is an expensive device, but they have ones out there that work that are like 30 bucks. And like, if a woman can have that and a box of condoms, instead of like, this costs so much money if you don't have health insurance. So much money. And women who don't have those options and who don't want this in them, or who maybe like can't afford it because their health insurance won't cover it, like, they should have an option. And if that's you, I hope you see this, and I hope you educate yourself and learn, and just know that whatever method you pick for birth control, you deserve the right to birth control. And I really hope that you get everything you want from it. Please let me know what you think about all of these subjects and what your experiences have been as a woman. And yeah, share this with your friends. I really believe that women need to know about this, and I am by no means an expert, and I'll provide links to other YouTubers and websites and people that know way more about this than I do. Yeah, I really appreciate you watching my video, and please like this video with your weird little thumb if you have a weird thumb. Mine's super weird. If you don't have a weird thumb, you can just do it with your normal thumb. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please subscribe and hit that notification bell in the corner so that you get notified every time I post a new video. It just helps support and grow my channel because I want to reach more people. I think I have an important message to spread. I post 2 new videos every single week. Every once in a while, I'll post 3. I'm trying to see how many I can do. So yeah, please stay tuned, and I'll be here, and I'll be spreading the love. So have a really great day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!